Gene Autry started with nothing, just $8 saved from baling hay, the money that bought his first guitar. By the time he died at 91, he owned a baseball team, television stations, and enough real estate to fill a map. But the real mystery isn't his fortune. It's what happened after he was gone. 2 marriages, 0 children, a 34-year age gap that raised eyebrows, and a fortune with no heirs. Born Orrin Grover Autry on September 29, 1907, in a tiny Texas farm, life tested him from the start. His father's risky ventures often failed, and his mother was frail. By age 11, Gene was already doing the heavy lifting at home, working farm labor and odd jobs just to keep the family afloat. Stability was fleeting. They moved constantly between Texas and Oklahoma, losing tools, time, and hope with every relocation. Amid the chaos, his grandfather's strict Baptist guidance and his mother's hymns gave him something steady. Music became his lifeline. At 12, he saved $8 from hauling hay to order a guitar. He played at cafes, school events, and local shows, mixing hymns, popular tunes, and the yodels he loved from radio stars like Jimmy Rogers. Music let him move forward, even in hardship. By 17, he was a telegraph operator, learning a skill that paid steady wages, but he never stopped performing. One night in the late 1920s, Will Rogers heard him yodel at a depot and told him, "That voice belongs on the radio." Inspired, Gene chased the dream, facing setbacks in New York before returning home and eventually landing on Tulsa's KVO radio as a yodeling cowboy. Crowds grew, pay rose, and recording opportunities followed. In 1931, that silver-haired daddy of mine broke through, resonating deeply during the Great Depression with its themes of family, longing, and quiet regret. From hayfields to the radio, Gene Autry had transformed hardship into opportunity, proving that talent, stubbornness, and a little $8 investment could change a life forever. That silver-haired daddy of mine sold 500,000 copies quickly and grew even bigger with re-releases and Gene Autry's films. It turned him from a radio name into a national sensation. Soon, he was on WLS Chicago's National Barn Dance, introduced as a cowboy hero, a role the public craved, even if his real life had been built on railroads, telegraphs, and hard work. He gave people hope, and he knew exactly how to sing it. In 1932, Gene Autry fell in love with A.A. May Spivey and eloped. Their marriage lasted until her death in 1980. He recorded hundreds of songs, including Back in the Saddle Again, 1939, a tune about resilience. Hollywood noticed him in Old Santa Fe, 1934, leading to starring roles in The Phantom Empire, 1935, and Tumbling Tumbleweeds, cementing his singing cowboy persona. From 1934 to 1953, he made 93 films, with his horse champion also becoming a star and his fame expanding into comics, merchandise, and more. Conflict arrived in the late 1930s. When he demanded higher pay from Republic Pictures, the studio refused and replaced him with Leonard Sly, soon known as Roy Rogers. Instead of giving up, Gene pivoted, building his name through radio, live performances, and records, refusing to let a studio dictate his career. In 1942, 35-year-old Gene Autry enlisted in the Army Air Corps, refusing safe PR work. His pay dropped to $125 a month, while Republic pushed Roy Rogers as the new cowboy star. He flew dangerous missions over the Himalayas and led USO tours in the South Pacific, bringing music to troops. Back home in 1946, he rebuilt his career, reviving Melody Ranch, producing films, and gaining independence with Flying Productions. Hits like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and ownership of KTLA and the Angels showed his business acumen. Even success carried risk. On set in 1950, a prop cannon exploded, injuring crew, while Gene survived. He fought for his work, suing Republic over TV rights and buying the film negatives in the 1960s. By 1953, he left films on his own terms. Gene Autry saw the future in television and ownership long before others did. Meanwhile, his radio legacy rolled on. Melody Ranch ran from 1940 to 1956, pausing only for W. Thew's service, totaling over 600 episodes. The show, complete with barn dance charm and his horse Champion, captured the spirit of America. On December 7, 1941, the broadcast was delayed as news of Pearl Harbor broke, a moment etched into history. Gene Autry earned 5 Hollywood Walk of Fame stars, the only person to do so, and recorded 635 songs, starred in 93 films, 91 TV episodes, and decades of radio. He built an empire, acquiring KMPC AM in 1952, buying KTLA in 1964 and selling it for $245 million, and owning the Los Angeles Angels from 1960 onward. His investments in real estate, hotels, oil, and land turned fame into lasting wealth. His private life mirrored his public drive. He married Ina Mae Spivey in 1932, eloping in St. Louis 3 months after meeting her. Their nearly 48-year marriage guided key career moves, including recording Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, which became a lasting hit. They had no children, living between Los Angeles and Palm Springs until her death in 1980, which left him deeply grief-stricken. Just over a year later, he surprised the public again, marrying Jacqueline Jackie Evelyn Elam in 1981. He was 73, she was 39, a 34-year age gap that made headlines. Jackie, who had risen from switchboard operator to bank vice president, became his partner in a new chapter, adding a final twist to a life defined by reinvention, resilience, and vision. Gene Autry's first date in decades came around New Year's Eve 1979 to 1980, when he nervously invited Jackie with a +1. They had no children, a fact that would shape the future of his estate. When he died, there was no direct heir, no son or daughter to inherit his legacy. Instead, his wealth and achievements flowed into foundations, museums, and long-term projects. Jackie became the steward of the Autry name and the Autry Foundation, guiding the Autry Museum of the American West and shaping his estate into philanthropy rather than a family dynasty. Even as the clean family values cowboy, Gene's life contained contradictions. Rumors of a long affair with Gail Davis, star of Annie Oakley, surfaced later, showing a private side at odds with his public persona. Yet both halves coexisted. The shy man who struggled with dating became the bold businessman who fought studios, bought TV stations, and owned a baseball team. The performer who sang "Back in the Saddle Again" also flew dangerous wartime missions and performed under blackout conditions for soldiers in remote Pacific islands. Gene Autry passed away quietly on October 2, 1998, at his Studio City home in Los Angeles, just 3 days after his 91st birthday. At the time, Forbes listed him among America's 400 richest, with wealth built on decades of film, radio, television, and business ventures. His headstone reads simply, "Loving husband," a quiet line beside a life filled with adventure, risk, and innovation. The singing cowboy became a tycoon, the tycoon became a legend, and the legend left an empire, not to heirs by blood, but to the legacy he deliberately built.